Welcome to Sunrise Radio. My name is Raj. I'm continuing our International Women's Day Leadership Series. I'm joined in the studio with the one, the only Naz Shah MP for Bradford West. Welcome to Sunrise, Naz.
Hi, thank you, Raj. Lovely to thank you for having me.
Now, it's an exciting couple of months. It's been an exciting decade, but we've got an exciting few months ahead. You are launching your own book, telling your own personal story on it. Let's start, but before we get to the book, let's start about your own personal journey and challenges that you have faced growing up. How do you feel those have shaped your experience of leadership today?
Oh, wow. So, first of all, happy International Women's Day to all your listeners. It's really is a privilege and honor to be on my local radio station talking about leadership and International Women's Day. So my experiences have really shaped my politics. They've shaped what I stand for, what my value base is, and they've helped me, for the last over a decade now, being the Member of Parliament for Bradford West. So it's been, they've shaped, when you fight the fight for equality and justice for women, then you also, it does politicize you. And even if that comes from a personal space, and I'm just really pleased that the book was launched on Thursday. And I have my event this evening, which is in Bradford launch, which is on International Women's Day. So, and that was really important to me. So one of the things when deciding when to launch the book, one of the biggest thing for me was to launch it in preparation for International Women's Day. So it launched on World Book Day, which was Thursday. It's a national year of reading, so from the Literacy Trust, and it is International Women's Day. So it's kind of like I've got a hat trick, if you like, for my book. And it's been, you can't separate my life experiences for who I am today.
Now, what motivated you to enter the political world?
Oh, it was by accident, Raj. So when I came into politics, when I was asked the question whether I'd stand for Parliament, and I say this in the book, and I said, no, don't be daft. It's the dirtiest place in a man's world. And then I was thrown down the gauntlet. Well, if you don't get in it, how you can clean it up? And I thought, right, that's a fair enough challenge. And I stood, anybody who knows me knows that I like a challenge. So I stepped into it, and the rest, as you say, is history.
Now, as a woman of South Asian heritage in Parliament, how important is representation in politics, particularly for young women listening today?
Well, it's very important, and the reason it's important is because if you don't see something, then you can't imagine it to be for you. So it's like, when you see women in positions of power who look like you, who come from a similar background to you, who are women of color, women of South Asian background, then I'd like to think it inspires a whole new generation of women to come into politics and think that this can be an option for me. And I think the whole premise of the book, for me, the bottom line is that anybody who picks up that book can say, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So that's the ultimate aim of the book.
Now, in your memoir that we're promoting today, Honoured, you share very personal experiences. What actually encouraged you to tell your story publicly?
Well, I was, 11 years ago today, I went viral with a blog because I'd just been selected to be the parliamentary candidate for Bradford West. And I remember the vitriol and I had Twitter accounts set up in my name by the time I got back to Bradford from London after the interview. And I remember very clearly the kind of, when I went viral with that blog telling my story, it was about owning my own narrative and not letting my opponent at the time, George Galloway, to own it, because I knew that it would be talked about. So why not just talk about it myself? And I think 10, 11, nearly 11 years in now, I'm much older, much wiser, a lot more grey hairs, and I think I was offered a book deal at the time in 2010. But I also had a lot of healing to do. I had a lot of, dealing with my own personal story, my own experiences of life. And I wasn't ready to, because I needed to also get to grips with the job of being a member of Parliament for Bradford West. So I didn't want to do it, you know, I didn't want to come in and just focus on a book. I wanted to focus on getting to know my actual job. So that took time. And then now I felt the time was right because I'm at that stage in my life, you know, kind of menopause, you know, over 50. And what, you know, you realize when you come into this place, you want to change the world, but actually you can't change the world. But what you can do is what you do best. And one of the things that I like to think I do best is talk about things to shift narratives, to change cultures, and to empower other people. And because that's my passion is leadership and community development. So by telling a story, I'm hoping that it's going to influence those two things, which is community development and also to have a conversation, a national conversation or even a global conversation about women's rights, about where, you know, when women are abused, conversations around when women go to prison and what happens to their children, conversations about mental health and women, especially South Asian women, Raj. We don't even have a word for depression in our language, you know, so we don't talk about mental health enough. So all of these things are very, very raw. They're very, I've been very honest in my experiences, and I've shared them with a purpose to say, okay, you know, to inspire and give hope. And that's what my aim is, to give hope to those people who find themselves in situations and to think, okay, she can do it, I can do it. But also strategies of, you know, how do you find faith? How do you find, or resilience, rather? For me, it was, you know, I found faith and I found resilience. And it, you know, to me, faith plays a big part of my resilience and my makeup. But for other people, that could be other things. That could be a cause. That could be, you know, for me, it's Islam, but what is it for other people? You know, those activists who want to, you know, stop climate change, they have an absolute belief in something. They have a value base, and it's about finding those values as human beings that we share, although they might come from different places, to make the world a better place. I think that's why I've decided to write it. Yeah.
So now you've delved into the impetus for writing the book. What message do you hope readers take away with them after reading the book?
Well, after we read the book, if she can do it after everything that she went through, it's certainly not a misery memoir. It's a memoir of hope. It's a memoir of when people read it, they feel, I hope they feel inspired. I hope it allows them to think about the places, what made them, what shaped them. For me, Bradford made me, Bradford shaped me. Bradford is, you know, I eat, breathe and sleep Bradford. So Bradford is, you know, it's very, very important to me. Is my city. Great Britain is very important to me as my country, you know, and I want to be the best that I can be for my country, for the people that I serve across the Bradford West constituency, to be the best parliamentarian, to have brave conversations. So I'm hoping that I'll leave them with a sense of that, a sense of a much better sense of who I am and what's shaped me, and how adversity can shape positivity for the future, depending how we see it and whether we are able to learn the lessons and turn them into fuel to drive the passion forward rather than the anger which burns us inside.
Now, looking ahead, you mentioned the country. Looking ahead, what changes would you like to see for women and girls across the UK?
I think, look, ultimately, I'd like to see, you know, this moment in time, we have 2 women a week that are killed as a result of domestic violence. We have the first time ever that number has increased of women who commit suicide to get out of those situations. You know, we have the issue of mental health, we have the issue of sexual abuse, we have all of these things. And I think we need to talk about them more to shift that. And that's not just talking to other women. There's one thing about empowering women, but that's also about changing society's culture and making it not okay for domestic violence to exist, for power and control, you know, by largely which is exerted by men over women, to start challenging these things in society to make the world a safer place for women who, you know, suffer from violence and, you know, against women and girls, really. So that's the hope for me anyway.
What continues to inspire and motivate you to work every day?
Oh, lots of things. My constituents, my emails, they tell me there's never a day where I'm not reminded why I do what I do, why I'm so privileged, I'm so blessed, I'm so honored to be the Member of Parliament for Bradford West. And it reminds you when people email you and they need that help and you're in that position to be able to support them. That is inspiring because it's very, very humbling that you've been put in this position, that people have put their faith and their trust in you to actually be their voice. So that's a privilege which is priceless, right? That's an honor which is priceless. And that reminds you. Then my own kids inspire me, my daughter in particular, and my sons, my niece, my nephew, the children that I see, the people of Bradford inspire me to be the best I can be, because I want to change, I want to change things for the better. And you get that from community, that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that sense of you're working for something which is beyond you. It's bigger than you. Your community is much bigger than you. The Bradford West is bigger than me, and I've got an obligation to do that. So that's inspiring. It fuels you, it drives you, because you know that the position you've got can really, really bring change.
Now, tell us about the book. Where is it available? Where can people grab a copy?
Well, it was available from Thursday, so it is out. It's out on the bookshelves in Waterstones, all good bookshops. It's on Amazon. It's on, Guardian book readership, because the Guardian ran it. The Times book readership clicks. It's available. It is everywhere. There's no excuse not to go and get it. Yeah, and it's an Eid around the corner. It'd be a brilliant Eid present. It's for young people. So if you're, thinking of a good Eid present, grab yourself a copy of Honoured.
And finally, what message would you like to share with the women who are listening today to Sunrise as a final message?
Well, my final message is Happy International Women's Day. The theme of International Women's Day is to give, to gain, and to share. So it's in the spirit of sharing. I have shared my story and the gain that I will get from it is that women will feel empowered. Women will be, there's lots and lots of things in that book, which are, I hope will leave people with thoughts to think about. But ultimately, don't take no for an answer. I was never projected to be on the trajectory which I've ended up in. I sit in front of you today in the honoured position of being a member of Parliament, but it wasn't always easy. But we must fight. We must fight to exist. Even being in Parliament is a fight in itself. To be heard, to be listened to, to be seen. But you have you are entitled to all of these things. They're not something that are you should absolutely. I'm not speaking just for me. I'm speaking for other women. My story doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. And take it, use it, and be the best versions of you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Raj.